This video is brought to you by HitPoint Press and their Big Bad Bundles. Pick up a bundle of your favorite Big Bads today at hitpointpress.com/big-bads. And by our Kobold Plushie Kickstarter featuring our 6 huggable kobolds with swappable gear, plus their minis, VTT assets, character sheets, adventures, accessories, and more. Check them out at koboldplush.com. Hello and welcome to the Gallant Goblin. Today we are finally doing our full set review of Pathfinder Battles, the Mwangi Expanse from WizKids and Paizo, and many thanks to them for sending us a factory set to review with you. Lately, instead of getting full cases of booster boxes, we've been getting so-called factory sets, which include one of each mini plus a seemingly random number of duplicates. So we'll be showing you each mini today, and as always, telling you the lore behind each one, but we can't speak to the distribution of the minis in the booster boxes or how well they're packaged. You can read more about the semi-random booster box system on our website at gallantgoblin.com, and we'll link the FAQ down below. This set features minis from the Mwangi Expanse, the African-inspired land on Galarian detailed in the Lost Omens Mwangi Expanse setting book, which we reviewed in the eye in the corner of your screen. Many of these creatures feature in the recent Strength of Thousands adventure path as well. The set includes minis you can use for the 6 new playable ancestries introduced in that book. The set does top out at large size figures, but they did release 3 even bigger minis as premium figures, which you can see our review of up in the eye in the corner of your screen right now. So finally, before we jump in, we did do a brick unboxing of these minis in a video that is now up in the eye if you are curious about distribution and packaging. And that video also features a giveaway that is still ongoing, so feel free to pop over there if you want to enter. I think that's everything you need to know for now, so let's get to the minis. I highly recommend that you try to avoid these crocodile-snouted fey creatures when you're traveling in the Mwangi jungle. They're called Biloko, and they're known to set traps and ambush travelers. And I will give you one guess as to their favorite food. If you guessed humanoid flesh, then ding ding ding, you have played a TTRPG before. They also really like bells for some reason, and they ring them when they're out hunting. So if you hear a ding 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 in your game, you may want to start running. The Biloko Warrior is a level 1 creature, and the Biloko Veteran is a level 4 creature. This, believe it or not, is one of the new playable ancestries introduced in the Mwangi Expanse. The Anadi are reclusive, sapient spiders. They were friendly, peaceful, and communal folks who tried to wander up to neighboring settlements to make friends, and then learned that a lot of people just don't like spiders. So they hunkered down and worked on a magical solution using a combination of transmutation and illusion magics to assume humanoid forms to better fit in with other civilizations. Here we see one of them in their true spider form with their cute little backpack and arcane staff. This mini actually represents the level 6 Anadi Elder NPC block in the back of the book. We'll learn more about the Anadi a little bit later in this video. Another playable ancestry introduced in the Mwangi Expanse is the Gnoll. Yes, my favorite. Though the Mwangi Gnolls are a bit different than your typical bloodthirsty, demon-worshipping hyena monsters. The Mwangi Gnolls, who call themselves Kolo, are practical, pragmatic hunters and raiders. They put efficiency and efficacy above everything else, so they have little time for things like mercy or cruelty. They do, however, believe in endo-cannibalism, consuming their dead family members, which they see as a way to venerate them. As always, you get heritages, or subraces as we may know them, including the ant gnoll here, who are small instead of medium in size, and who can use their relative cuteness to lie themselves out of tricky situations. The Mwangi Expanse is home to a ton of different types of creatures, but they're not all in the Mwangi Expanse sourcebook. On page 289 of that book, however, you'll find a list of creatures found in the Expanse and where their stat blocks are located. The Bloodseeker is in Bestiary 1, and yes, these are sturges, basically enormous mosquitoes, which are a scourge to everyone except maybe the residents of Ravenmoor. If you know, you know. They are tiny-sized, level -1 creatures who can attach to foes to drain their blood. The Charau-Ka are descendants of Angazan, the ravenous king and demon lord of beasts who appeared as a monstrous red-furred ape. Legend holds that he raised the dead bodies of his foes into these monstrous mandrill-like warriors. They have an entire city in the Mwangi Expanse called Usaro. There are 3 Charau-Ka stat blocks in the book: a level 1 warrior with a hatchet and a dagger, a level 3 acolyte of Angazan, who's a divine spellcaster, and a level 6 butcher who goes into a fury after tasting blood. This may be the strangest creature in this set. Kanona are half human. Literally, like usually the right half to be exact. The other half of their body just looks like hot steam, really. They have no trouble getting around. Seems like the rest of their body is there somehow. It's just not visible. It's not on another plane. Their origins are equally strange. They have no known relations to creatures on Galarian, and banishment doesn't seem to work on them, indicating that they're not from another plane. They are evil, as their mouthful of razor-sharp teeth might imply, and they have a level 8 stat block. The Kishi are jungle-dwelling, two-faced fey creatures. Quite literally two-faced. They're generally human-looking folks with long, thick hair that conceals a second face of a snarling hyena. Secret gnolls, I guess. When they're ready to pounce, their heads rotate around and they clamp down on their victims with that powerful hyena jaw. They're quite sadistic, seeming to relish luring unsuspecting victims to lower their defenses and then eating their faces off. They have level 8 stat blocks in Bestiary 3. Hey, it's a really nice looking leopard mini. Having basic animal minis like this is fantastic. They can show up in most any campaign, and if you have them handy, they can be used by your druids and other casters. In Pathfinder, you can find the leopard stats under the heading of Cat on page 52 of Bestiary 1. Leopards are found in quite a few biomes, including the grasslands, forest, jungle, and even the fringes of deserts. They're considered level 2 creatures. The Matanji Orcs, native to the Mwangi Expanse, aren't quite like the orcs you're used to. While they're still formidable warriors, their ire is directed at demons and other fiends rather than neighboring humanoid societies. They have a long history of demon hunting, exorcisms, protection rituals, and other traditions to keep demonic forces at bay, and they are happy to teach outsiders their ways. They're generally seen as heroic protectors by other Mwangi societies. And to give you a sense of how much lore this book gives you, there are 10 pages just talking about the Matanji Orcs and their society, history, and culture. And there's an orc feat that you can take if you're playing a Matanji Orc. Rompos are beasts with the rear leg of a bear, the front legs of a badger, and the head of a hare with the humanoid ears and fur that can color shift to help it hide. They're unintelligent and mostly timid creatures who primarily live as scavengers, despite having the physical features of a predator. Because it likes to eat raw flesh, its mouth is full of bacteria. If you get bit by one, you run the risk of catching the Rompo chills, which you do not want to catch. They're level 5 creatures in the Mwangi Expanse setting book. Senghor is a major Mwangi trading post and naval power located on a peninsula southwest of the Expanse. The Mwangi Expanse book takes you through each major geographical area of this part of the world and gives you a map and stat blocks of the cities, the resources available there, the major NPCs in the area, the history of the area, information on what life is like there, and lots of sidebars with items and story hooks and more. Life in Senghor is very pragmatic, and the priests there do most of the prayers and religious rituals on behalf of the very busy citizenry. Popular deities include Erastil, Desna, Gozra, Sarenrae, and Pharasma. The Umasi are mostly peaceful residents of the Kaava lands, just north of Senghor. They were cursed long ago to be unable to heal naturally, even through magic, but they can maintain their bodies by harvesting flesh and organs from other living creatures and grafting them onto themselves. They're not undead and they're not evil, but they are often feared and shunned, understandably. Their level 6 stat block can be found in Bestiary 3. Vidrian is a newly independent nation located in the south of the Mwangi Expanse. Previously, it was the Chilaxian colony of Sargava, but through a combination of passion and talent and excessive spending, they managed to drive off their Chilaxian rulers from their newly renamed capital city of Anthusis. Now they work hard to unite the other Mwangi nations in an effort to build a united front against future exploitation from foreign nations. Earlier, we talked about the Biloko, those crocodile-headed consumers of humanoid flesh. Well, when a Biloko eats a lot of casters or other magical creatures, they can become Elokos. Elokos are able to suddenly grow in size, and they have an increased appetite to match. There's actually a city of Bilokos and Elokos on the eastern edge of the Screaming Jungle called Eloko Loba, and it's safe to say that tourism isn't one of their major industries. You can find the level 7 Eloko stat block in the Mwangi Expanse. We talked a bit earlier about the new rare playable ancestry, the Anadi. Here is another Anadi in its spider form. Unfortunately, it lost some of its iridescence and the colorful details of its scarf in the transformation to mini form. This art likely represents the polychromatic Anadi heritage or, subrace. Polychromatic Anadi are trained in performance and gain the impressive performance feat. Other heritages include the adaptive Anadi, snaring Anadi, spindly Anadi, and venomous Anadi. All of these ancestry options are in the Mwangi Expanse book. I'm not sure why this new playable ancestry of the Grizzly is called Frogfolk on the base of this mini, probably some sort of obscure rights issue, but the Grizzly are shy and cautious denizens of the jungle who try to stay out of the affairs of others when possible. Fiend-Keeper Grizzly take a more active approach in fighting the evils in their environment, specifically by absorbing an evil being into their soul, where they trap it and transform its villainy through virtuous acts. Now, unfortunately, I don't see any Fiend-Keeper game mechanics like a heritage or feats or an archetype available for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, but maybe we'll see something like that down the line. This mini represents an Anadi in its hybrid form, a form that isn't available to starting characters. They can shapeshift into their human form or into their fully spider form with different abilities for each. At 5th level, they can take the Hybrid Shape Ancestry feat to gain this hybrid form, which allows them to use their spider and human abilities at the same time. And this mini represents the level 2 Anadi Hunter NPC stat block at the back of the book. This one's interesting. The Copper Man is listed as one of the 3 market masters in the mercantile city-state of Kishi. Aside from referring to him as, quote, intimidating, there's not much other information about him. He is labeled as a lawful, neutral, Koliarat Aeon, an inevitable who enforces bargains and punishes those who don't honor them. They're fairly talkative for inevitables, as they come preloaded with courtly graces and knowledge of social customs, rather like C-3PO if C-3PO was also adept at murdering people. They have a level 12 stat block in Bestiary 1. Golomas are a playable ancestry native to the Expanse and are rarely seen there by others due to their innate fear of two-eyed races whom they view as predators. They have a deep-seated psychological understanding that they themselves are prey, and they frequently adopt a terrifying visage to frighten others away. With their 8 eyes, they're adept at wide-scale observation but struggle with distinguishing individuals and specific objects. Kaava are community-driven, stealthy, and insular humanoids covered in short down feathers that resemble fur. You can earn their trust with a lot of patience, but these true neutral jungle dwellers are nigh impossible to befriend. The book has 2 stat blocks for them, the small-sized, level 0 pygmy Kaava, who don't get along with their larger-sized brethren, and the also small-sized, level 1 Kaava Stalkers, which we have here. They're responsible for bringing in the food and repelling intruders. Another playable ancestry introduced in the Mwangi Expanse book and native to the Expanse are the Shisk, who, like the Goloma, are rarely seen by others. They are secretive mountain dwellers who frequently live underground. They have no body hair, but their backs are covered in vestigial plumage that now grow only as quills. These quills are longer around their arms, suggesting that they may once have been capable of flight. They love collecting esoteric knowledge, which is one of the only things that might lure them out into the world. The 16 clans of Taralu Dwarves are a spiritual, nomadic community who call the foggy lowlands of the jungle home and who have a reputation as mediators. The Taralu used to live in a militaristic society caught in the conflict between Geb and Nex, but a chance encounter with a dying cloud dragon brought the clans together and, over the course of several years, to the lowlands where they now reside. One of their new traditions is to dye their hair to match the sky. The Taralu chapter also gives you access to the worm-blessed bloodline for the sorcerer. So yes, gnolls are also a playable ancestry introduced here, but like the heroic demon-fighting orcs of the Mwangi Expanse, they have a more nuanced and complex society than those gnolls that we know from possibly other games. And we talked about them being endo-cannibals. Well, the Bonekeepers like this would be fantastic witches, which is also a class you can play in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The book mentions that they'll probably treat ancestral spirits more like squabbling colleagues than objects of worship, and that sounds like it'd be a very fun character to play. Our next two minis are Ekujae Elves, and just to step back and give you a sense of the amount of lore that you get here for just these various Expanse societies, the book details 13 different groups, including our 6 new playable ancestries, plus a list of smaller groups over more than 100 pages. So when I give you a 40-second snippet of information about groups like the Ekujae Elves here, I am barely scratching the surface of what the book provides you. And the Elves of the Mwangi Expanse have an extensive and colorful history. They used to be part of an expansive and united nation known as the Mualajae, but they split sometime after Earthfall into 3 groups: the Alijae, Kalijae, and the Ekujae. The Ekujae remained in the jungle to guard Alcetta's gate and other dangerous sites. They're enigmas to most outsiders, mysterious guardians of the wild and respected scholars at the Magambia, but they are primarily known for being powerful warriors. In our review of the premium figures that accompany this set, we introduced you to the ancient Arboreal Damari Digi, who has an amazing mini that you can see in the eye of the corner of your screen right now. But he is not the only Arboreal in the Expanse. To learn more, head to Bestiary 1, which gives you stat blocks for an Arboreal Warden, an Awakened Tree, and an Arboreal Regent. Arboreals are guardians of the forest and representatives of the trees, with the wardens, like this fella, being their rangers. The Arboreal Warden has a level 4 stat block. It's a Grizzly Bear, here to talk to you about stealing picnic baskets and starting forest fires. You can find information about them and their level 3 stat blocks in Bestiary 1. Grizzlies are most often found on forested hills, and as omnivores, they can often sustain themselves on nuts, berries, fish, and small animals, but they can be quite territorial, especially when their young are concerned. And as always, it's nice to have common animal minis for your rangers and druids and animal summoners. Animal companions are quite popular in Pathfinder, with several archetypes allowing you to specialize in that direction. The Jungle Drake is also taken from Bestiary 1, where it has a pretty powerful level 6 stat block. Drakes are ravenous, bestial, draconic monsters, and the Jungle Drake in particular is thought to be related to green dragons with their debilitating venom administered via barbed stinger or noxious phlegm. They're known for swooping in, grabbing the weakest member of the party, and then scurrying away through the jungle to finish them off in private. Karinas are known as plague birds. Their favorite activity is digging up graves and flying off with corpses to do Iomade knows what with them. They do carry their own pestilence, which is supernatural in origin, which causes fever, disorientation, and at later stages, a zombie-like desire to attack others and spread the disease. They're repulsed by the power of good, suggesting a fiendish origin. And they're just smart enough to mimic the voices of humanoids to lure in new victims. They have a level 5 stat block. Our second cat of this set is the Lioness, which you can find filed under Cat, Lion in Bestiary 1. It's a large-sized animal with low light vision, scent, and the ability to pounce and do sneak attack damage according to its level 3 stat block. They also have Pack Tactics, which is an ability that may sound familiar to our D&D fans. In the Lion stat block, though, Pack Tactics means that the Lion will deal an additional 1d4 damage to a creature that is within reach of at least 2 of the Lion's allies. The Aigamuxa are maybe the most striking characters in this book. They're towering, carnivorous, and voracious humanoids who wander the arid deserts looking for their favorite food, kolaches. No, wait. Sorry, I misread that. Sapient humanoids. Yeah, that sounds right. Oh, and their eyes are on the bottoms of their feet, which seems like a strange evolutionary choice. Not surprisingly, they're not particularly good hunters because they can't really run and see at the same time. We do get both poses for the Aigamuxa, which is fun. Since they're not great predators when they have to chase their prey, they often just hide in the sand dunes and spring out when some unfortunate traveler wanders by. Their level 8 stat block indicates that they're blind unless they take an action to seek, presumably springing onto their hands, like this. And if they walk over something hazardous, like caltrops, it makes taking that seek action impossible until the end of their next turn. One fun thing that we often see in Pathfinder Battles booster sets is the inclusion of minis of their gods, and Mwangi Expanse introduces a whole chapter worth of deities for your characters to follow and worship. Each entry gives you information like their areas of concern, their alignment, their domains, cleric spells they grant, edicts, and acts that are anathema, and their favored weapon, among other things. Walkina is the lawful evil undead child-sized god of the city-state of Mazzali in the Mwangi Expanse. The Strength of Thousands adventure path will eventually bring you to Mazzali to treat with him. The Black Heron here is perhaps the most striking mini in this entire set. In the Age of Destiny, the Black Heron, who was one of old Mage Chitembe's magic warriors, united southern Gurundi nomads and other tribes people together to fight the cults of Rovagug. He was a gifted teacher at the Magambia who pushed his students to pursue and accomplish goals they didn't think they were capable of. But he eventually turned on Chitembe and the other warriors and left. The Konrasu are perhaps the most enigmatic new playable ancestry added to the game in the Mwangi Expanse book, or any book really. In our review of the book, we interviewed the project lead Eleanor Farron and talked about the Konrasu at length. You can see that video in the eye in the corner of your screen. They are a rare ancestry who are essentially shards of cosmic force given consciousness who construct intricate exoskeletons made of still living wood so they can interact with the world. They aren't clear on their own origins, but there are theories that you can learn about in the Mwangi Expanse book. They look to the Aeons for direction. Grandmother Spider is another new deity added in the Mwangi Expanse book. She is the neutral goddess of family, illusions, stories, twilight, and weaving. Also known as Nana Anadi, Grandmother Spider was the weaver of fates for the gods, and the keeper of a lot of their secrets. Worship of her outside of the Mwangi Expanse became controversial, to say the least. Now she uplifts those who rebel against the status quo and fight for freedom. High Sun Mage Ayamba is the head of the Magambia, the oldest and most prestigious academy of arcane learning on the planet. He appears in Book 3 of Strength of Thousands Adventure Path, where he's described as a charming man with a perpetually distracted look. He'll be a helpful mentor to the PCs in that adventure and help guide them on their educational path. And of course, this could also be a great PC caster mini. Usaro is a violent jungle domain in the Mwangi Expanse, filled with demon-worshipping fanatics. And Shosembe here currently wields power there. He is uniting residents who can't survive on their own, and some outsiders speculate that he might be able to save Usaro from itself. Some spoilers coming up here, so if you're a player in the Mwangi Expanse, you may want to skip ahead. Shosembe has the appearance and reputation of a great warrior, but in actuality, he is a great wizard, using transmutation magic to keep up appearances. He's calculating, powerful, and charismatic, but what are his ultimate ambitions? Thabsing was a dwarf serving on a merchant ship which was captured by pirates who removed his eye as tribute. He swore vengeance and became a grim and deadly fighter known as Thabsing Blood-Eye, leader of the Blood-Marked, Clearing's most famed warrior fellowship. He spearheaded the campaigns against the pirates since then, driven by his insatiable anger, though he is not an evil man. Some say he will become High King one day. There was once a city named Rostal, the Devouring Kingdom, that was located south of Zatramba before their mutual destruction. In its conflicts, Rostal summoned fiends who conquered Zatramba before Rostal itself fell to internal strife. Now the scorched remains of the city are being consumed by the jungle, but a community of tieflings still remain, possibly influenced by the demonic forces that the city once summoned, or possibly descended from those fiends. They worship the memory of their ancestors and herald the return of the great fiends of Rostal. Onwagasi, also known as the Penultimate Quill, is a divine herald of the Imperial Lord Windless, a powerful archon who oversees the great library of harmonious scripture on the 4th level of heaven. Onwagasi is a half-celestial Coatl who has been the protector of the small religious community of Saruk in the Mwangi Expanse since before the death of Eridan. If you want even more information on Onwagasi, you can check out the Pathfinder 1st Edition supplement, Heaven Unleashed. Our capstone mini in this set is an Asambosum, a monstrous hairy humanoid with cold iron fangs. Basically, murder vampire sloths. They hang from the trees and grab unsuspecting passersby, pull them up, and then suck their blood. They need a lot of iron to maintain the integrity of their cold iron teeth, and apparently picking up some iron supplements from their local pharmacy hasn't occurred to them, so they just drink a lot of fresh blood instead. They have level 6 stat blocks in the Mwangi Expanse bestiary. This set is so creative, so unique, I love it. D&D and Pathfinder, along with most of the fantasy fiction out there, pull from mythology and other cultural tales. But African mythology isn't tapped as often, so these minis and their stories feel really fresh and interesting. Obviously, if you're playing a Pathfinder adventure in the Mwangi Expanse, such as the Strength of Thousands, Serpent Skull, or the Slithering, you're gonna want these minis. But if you're a 5e player who's intrigued by what you see here, by what you hear here, go pick up the Mwangi Expanse Lost Omens book and see what you're missing. There's nothing stopping you from adapting it to 5e rules that you already know, but it might inspire you to try out Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And if it does, check out our review of the Pathfinder Beginner Box in the eye in the corner of your screen right now. Getting into Pathfinder is easier than it's ever been, and pretty soon it's going to be even easier, and we'll talk about that later. But if you need some guidance, just let me know in the comment section below. Pathfinder Battles the Mwangi Expanse from Paizo and WizKids is out now. It looks like a brick of 8 booster boxes going for about 120 bucks online, which comes out to $15 a box, and a case of 32 booster boxes will run you about 450 bucks or about $14 a box. You can learn more about the booster box system at the FAQ on our website, linked below the video here. Let me know what you think about these minis and which one is your favorite in the comment section down below. Now, if you're a DM, you've been there. Your players have ignored your carefully placed main plot hooks and are smack dab in the middle of the most obscure village in the furthermost corner of the map possible. You didn't prepare for this. Is it time for another shopping montage? Will you let your players adopt their third middle-aged tavern-dwelling goblin in as many sessions? Don't panic. Hit Point Press has your back. It is time to break out the Big Bads. The Big Bad booklet is a monthly zine of campaign-ready 5e boss monsters. Each Big Bad booklet comes with a print and play PDF with how to play the boss monster, as well as printable reference materials for ease of use. Prepare for any situation your players may throw at you with Big Bad bundles. Get your favorite bundle of 6 Big Bad booklets and you'll never be stuck without a formidable foe again. Take your pick of Big Bads that will best suit your playstyle. Check out the Big Bad bundles today at hitpointpress.com/big bads. And our Kobold plush Kickstarter has finally launched. We're over on Kickstarter. We really need your help. We want to unlock as many kobolds and accessories as we possibly can. So if you want to help me keep my spirits up while I work on all these videos, backing and sharing our Kobold plush Kickstarter will definitely help me with that. And don't forget, we have a dragon mini of our own as part of our Kickstarter, that gargantuan-sized Harvest Dragon. So go check it all out. The Kickstarter also features our Goblin Gold Inspiration Hero Point coin and a pin set of all the kobolds, plus maybe there'll be a few surprises too. You can join our quest to unlock all the kobolds by visiting koboldplush.com. And please share that link with your friends and community to help spread the word. I dream of making a whole line of cuddly kobolds and other fun monster cuddlies, but it's all gonna come down to how well our Kickstarter does. Be my hero and visit koboldplush.com today. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to enter the giveaway over at our Mwangi Expanse unboxing video. That giveaway will end in about a week. You can find our Queerfinder Pathfinder supplement at queerfinder.org. You can join our Discord server to get all the latest mini news, and join us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where we share preview images, news, and more. And liking our videos and subscribing to the channel also helps us out a lot. For now, stay safe, have fun, love each other, and I'll see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.